Picture this. You are doing something completely ordinary, walking your dog, paddling a canoe, setting up camp, and in a single heartbeat, the most dangerous predator you have ever seen decides you are prey. Number 6 will genuinely shock you, but I promise you this, nothing prepares you for what actually happened in number 1. Number 10. The Calabasas front lawn attack. We begin with an attack that shattered every assumption about where you are truly safe. In September of 2021, in the quiet suburb of Calabasas, California, a 5-year-old boy was playing in his own front yard. It was the middle of the day. His house was right there. Out of nowhere, a 65-pound mountain lion exploded from the bushes, seized the boy, and dragged him roughly 45 yards across the lawn. According to Captain Patrick Foy of the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, the child suffered significant traumatic injuries to his head and upper torso. What saved his life was his mother. She was inside the house when she heard the commotion. She ran out, and with nothing but her bare hands, she began striking and punching the mountain lion until it released her son. Foy later said plainly that the mother absolutely saved her son's life. The boy survived. Wildlife officers located the lion crouched in nearby bushes, ears back, hissing. DNA testing later confirmed it was the same animal. It was young, still learning how to hunt, and it had decided a child in a suburban yard was the easiest meal available. A mountain lion attacking in a front yard is terrifying, but at least it happened on dry land where the boy's mother could reach him. The next attack happened somewhere no rescuer could follow. Number 9. The Apollo Waterway. Water changes everything. On land, you can run, you can fight, you can climb. In the water, you are in their world, and they know it. In July of 2004, 41-year-old Kevin Albert Murray went for a swim in the Apollo Waterway near Port Charlotte, Florida. According to Gary Morse of the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, Murray had a habit of swimming in that canal. He had done it many times before, without incident. This time, a 12-foot 2-inch alligator was waiting. Several people reportedly witnessed the attack. There was nothing any of them could do. By the time it was over, Murray was the 17th recorded fatal alligator death in Florida's history. The alligator was later retrieved and killed by a trapper and a state wildlife officer. What makes alligator attacks so horrifying is the method. They do not kill quickly. They clamp down, pull you under, and roll. The next attack on our list used that exact technique, except this time there was a witness who heard every single word the victim said. Number 8. The Fort Pierce Pond. In February of 2023, 85-year-old Gloria Surge was walking her dog along a retention pond behind her home in a Fort Pierce, Florida retirement community. It was an ordinary afternoon in a place built for peace and quiet. A 10-foot alligator, weighing somewhere between 600 and 700 pounds, rose out of the water. Surveillance footage captured the entire approach. The reptile swam in a direct line, climbed the embankment, and took Serge to the ground before dragging her into the water. A neighbor, who only wanted to be identified as Carol, tried desperately to help. She grabbed a pole. She tried to reach her, and she heard Serge speak her final words. Carol told reporters that she kept yelling at her to swim, and that Serge replied, "I can't. The gator has me." Carol said it haunts her, that there was nothing she could do, that she could not get into the water. Serge's dog survived. She did not. That attack was caught on camera, which makes it unforgettable. But the next one introduces an animal most Americans don't even fear, an animal they actively walk toward to take photographs. That mistake gets people killed every single year. Number 7. Yellowstone's hidden danger. Every year, millions of tourists pour into Yellowstone and the national parks of the American West. And every year, some of them make the same fatal mistake. They see a massive, slow-looking animal grazing peacefully, and they think it is safe to approach. The American bison is the heaviest land animal in North America. A bull can weigh 2,000 pounds, and, despite that bulk, can run at 35 miles per hour, 3 times faster than you can sprint. They are not aggressive by nature, but they have a threshold, and when a tourist crosses it for a better photo, the bison charges. Bison have injured more people in Yellowstone than any other animal in the park. Victims have been gored, tossed 10 feet into the air, and impaled on horns that the animal uses without hesitation. The injuries are catastrophic: punctured lungs, shattered ribs, severed arteries, and it happens in seconds, far faster than anyone expects from an animal that looked so calm a moment earlier. The bison is dangerous because people underestimate it. The next animal is the opposite. Everyone fears it, and in the summer of 2017 in Alaska, that fear proved completely justified. Number 6. The Alaska Running Race. This is the one I told you would shock you, because the victim did everything you are supposed to do, and it still wasn't enough. In June of 2017, a 16-year-old named Patrick Cooper was competing in a mountain running race near Bird Ridge, Alaska. He was a strong, capable teenager doing something healthy and ordinary on a well-known trail with other people around. During the race, Patrick became separated from the main group. At some point on that mountain, he encountered a black bear. He was aware enough of the danger to text his family that a bear was following him. That detail is what makes this story so haunting. He knew, he communicated it, and the bear still caught him. Black bears very rarely hunt humans as prey. The overwhelming majority of black bear encounters end with the bear running away. But this was one of the extraordinarily rare predatory attacks, where the bear stalked, pursued, and treated a human being as food. Patrick did not survive. His death sent a shockwave through Alaska, a state where people pride themselves on knowing how to live alongside bears. The reason this ranks at number 6 and not higher is that it was, statistically, a freak event. The next 3 attacks involve animals that kill far more deliberately and far more often. Number 5. The Arizona Porch. Sometimes the attack doesn't come in the deep wilderness. Sometimes it comes to your front door. In the summer of 2025 in Groom Creek, Arizona, a 66-year-old man named Steven Jackson was sitting in a chair outside his home. This was his property, his space, the kind of place where a person feels completely secure. A wild bear attacked him there in his own chair, outside his own home. For a fatal wild bear attack to happen not on a trail, not at a remote campsite, but at someone's residence, is deeply unusual and deeply unsettling. It strips away the comfortable belief that these animals stay in the backcountry where they belong. Wildlife officials responded to the area. But for Steven Jackson, Sitting outside on an ordinary day, there had been no warning and no escape. That attack was rare because of where it happened. The next one was part of something even stranger, a sudden terrifying cluster of attacks in a state that had gone more than a century without a single one. Number 4. The Arkansas Cluster. Here is a statistic that should not be possible. The state of Arkansas went 130 years without a confirmed fatal bear attack. Then, in a single month in the fall of 2025, it had 2. On September 3, 2025, in Franklin County, Arkansas, 72-year-old Vernon Patton was killed by a wild bear. Then, less than a month later, on October 2, 2025, at the popular Sam's Throne Campground in Newton County, a 60-year-old man was killed. When a sheriff's deputy arrived at the man's empty campsite, they found evidence of a struggle and drag marks leading into the woods. Investigators believe the victim may have actually photographed the bear that killed him in the moments before the attack. Before these 2 deaths, the last known fatal bear attack in Arkansas had been in 1892. 2 deaths in roughly 30 days in a state where it had not happened in anyone's living memory. Wildlife experts were genuinely stunned. These attacks were shocking because of how sudden and clustered they were. The next animal on our list doesn't surprise anyone. It is the apex predator of the American coastline, and its attacks are the stuff of legend. Number 3. The Jersey Shore, 1916. To understand why an entire nation became terrified of the ocean, you have to go back to the summer of 1916, to the event that inspired the movie Jaws and changed how America saw the sea forever. On July 1, 1916, 23-year-old Charles Van Sant was attacked and killed by a shark in shallow water at Beach Haven, New Jersey. It was the first recorded shark attack in American history. Scientists at the time confidently claimed a shark could not be responsible. They were catastrophically wrong. Less than a week later, 27-year-old Charles Bruder was killed when a shark slashed open his abdomen. Then on July 12th, the horror moved inland, up a freshwater creek in Matawan. 12-year-old Lester Stilwell was dragged underwater in front of his friends. When 24-year-old Stanley Fisher dove in to try to recover the boy, the shark turned on him. Both of them died, 4 people killed in 12 days. A nationwide panic so severe that the White House itself declared a war on sharks. For the first time, Americans understood that the water was not theirs alone. The 1916 attacks were terrifying because they were so public and so sudden. The next attack on our list represents the single most catastrophic shark event in human history, and almost nobody talks about how it actually happened. Number 2. The warship Indianapolis. This is not one attack. This is hundreds of them, unfolding over 4 days in the open ocean, in what remains the worst shark disaster ever recorded. On July 30th, 1945, in the final days of World War II, the American warship Indianapolis was struck by torpedoes from a Japanese submarine and sank in roughly 12 minutes. Around 300 men went down with the ship, but close to 900 men survived the sinking and found themselves adrift in the Philippine Sea. What followed was 4 days of nightmare. The survivors had no lifeboats for most of the group, little fresh water, and no rescue in sight. As men died of dehydration and their wounds, the blood and the thrashing drew sharks from miles around. Oceanic white-tip and tiger sharks moved in and began picking off the living and the dead. Sailors watched friends pulled under. They heard the screams. They could do nothing but cling to debris and wait, never knowing who would be next. By the time rescue planes finally spotted them by chance, only around 316 men were still alive out of the nearly 900 who survived the sinking. It remains the largest loss of life from shark attacks in recorded history, and a reminder of just how merciless the ocean can be. So after hundreds of men lost to sharks in the open sea, what could possibly be number one? The answer is not about scale. It is about pure, deliberate horror and the fact that the predator hunted its victim down. Number 1. The bear that hunted. Every attack on this list so far was a moment, a sudden charge, a single strike, a chaotic disaster. Number 1 is different because the animal made a choice. It selected a human being and it hunted. In recent years, wildlife investigators have documented a category of black bear attack that is far rarer and far more disturbing than the rest. These are the predatory attacks, where the bear does not lash out in fear or to protect cubs, but instead searches for a person, stalks them, attacks, kills, and then feeds. This is not an animal defending itself. This is an animal treating a human as a meal. Consider what happened in Downeyville, California, in November of 2023. When Sierra County Sheriff's deputies went to check on 71-year-old Patrice Miller, who had not been seen for several days, they found her front door broken and bear scat on her porch. Inside, they found her remains. Sheriff Mike Fisher stated that it appeared the bear had been there for several days, feeding on the remains. It was later confirmed the first documented fatal black bear attack on a human in California's recorded history. Think about that. The bear did not encounter her by accident on a trail. It came to her home. It broke through her door, and then it stayed. This is the reason wilderness survival instructors will tell you, without hesitation, that the most dangerous moment is not when a bear is startled or protecting her young. It is when a bear looks at you not as a threat, but as food. Because a predatory bear does not bluff. It does not warn. It commits. And once it has decided what you are, there is very little on this earth that will change its mind. These 10 attacks are a reminder that the line between the human world and the wild one is far thinner than we like to believe. Most of these victims were doing something completely ordinary in a place they thought was safe. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had a close call with a wild animal? A moment where your heart stopped and you realized just how vulnerable you really were? Share your story in the comments below. I can't wait to read what you've been through.